Rub-on transfers are a fun and versatile craft product. They can be used on many, many surfaces. And so today I'm going to show you 10 plus surfaces that you can use your rub-ons on, some that you may not even have thought of before. Hi, I'm Jess from jesscrafts.com, and I'm here to help you make the most of your crafty supplies and time. So let's take a look. Today I want to talk about a couple of different surfaces that you can put your rub-ons on. I have like more than 10 different ways. But I wanted to focus first on the ones that card makers might use because that's primarily who's coming to my channel. I share a lot for card makers. So I am using scrapbook.com rub-ons today. I can't say that every rub-on out there will work on every surface that I'm using today. I'm just showing you this specific brand because I know them to be high quality. I shop at scrapbook.com. So the clear ones that we think of when we first get our rub-ons as card makers is putting them on cardstock. This is just some plain white cardstock that I would use for a card base. As you can see, it looks really beautiful. Or onto patterned paper. Now, this is patterned on the other side, but as you can see, the cardstock versus paper, it makes no difference. It sticks to the both of them beautifully, but you could add to a pattern if you wanted to. Now, some surfaces that we might use as card makers that we wouldn't necessarily at first think, oh yeah, we could totally put rub-ons on those. But I think these are the more important ones because I could stamp. I mean, I can't quite stamp this kind of look where it's like so many different colors to create this, but I could stamp onto cardstock. So putting a black rub-on sentiment onto cardstock or, regular paper isn't very exciting. However, there are some other choices. So this is Vellum. Stamping onto Vellum can be tricky. You need special ink to do it. So having an alternative where I could get a really cool look, like I can get black ink for Vellum, but getting lots of different colored inks for it can be challenging. You can emboss on it. All these things are like, they're possible, but not easy. Applying a rub-on to Vellum is really easy. You just do it like you would apply any rub-on. And speaking of that, when you buy a set of rub-ons, you'll often get a popsicle stick. This will totally work. You can absolutely just rub the popsicle stick onto your rub-on. See, it's like a dark black, and then it gets to a more faded black when it's applied, when it's stuck. So I'm just rubbing the stick over, and it's transferring really quickly. So I just wanted to emphasize that. But you can use that stick that you came with a popsicle stick. You could use your bone folder, especially like the flat end, or you can use a craft scraper. This one is designed to like work with your Cricut to get the paper, little bits of paper off, but there's different craft scrapers out there. I would recommend a rigid one. This is not flexible. This is not for like stenciling materials, but as you can see, it makes it the board just a little bit faster. It's a little more comfortable to hold in your hand, in my opinion, as well. And so this is another surface. This is glitter paper. This is the glitter paper from scrapbook.com. I don't think that rub-ons will work on all glitter paper. Oh, I had a little bit of area that didn't get rubbed. If you see that as you lift it up, like a little bit is still sticking to the backing sheet, you just place it back down and rub it back down. And then this is the scrapbook.com glitter paper. It is really, really smooth. It doesn't shed glitter or anything like that. So it will work on certain glitter papers. A glitter paper that is particularly bumpy will not work very well because you won't be able to rub into all of the grooves of the glitter paper. So the other two surfaces that I think card makers would find particularly useful to know that you can put rub-ons on are like foil paper. This is the holographic paper from scrapbook.com, but they transfer quite easily onto that. Now, of course, you can stamp on any slick surface with Stays-On ink, but I think you can imagine if you're a card maker that trying to mimic this look or the look of the balloon animal with ink and stamps would be quite difficult. So this is a cool alternative. And then similarly, you can put them onto acetate, then put it on a shaker card, a window card, different possibilities like that. One thing I do want to talk about is once it is applied to these surfaces though, there can be some damage to it. So if you were working on like home decor type stuff, which we'll talk about in just a moment, you might be encouraged to seal your project. I don't typically worry about it. Like if I'm just gonna rub my finger across this, it's not gonna do any damage to any of these surfaces. And even if I lightly like scrape something across it, it's not going to damage these surfaces. I'm not overly worried about my cards being handled so aggressively that they're going to be damaged. But I do want to point out that you can, so if I rubbed this onto acetate and you see it's quite damaged, this is because I literally went in and scraped it to show you. Like, you could definitely damage it if something aggressive were to happen to it. I don't see your cards being treated this way, but I do want to point that out, that without being sealed, rub-ons can be damaged. They could probably be damaged while they're sealed too. I wouldn't seal acetate. I mean, then you would just, it would look like you had painted over it. It wouldn't look very good. But just know that maybe it's a card you would handle a little bit more delicately. Maybe you put a piece of cardstock to protect the front of the card when you mail it or something like that. There's worth noting. So now I want to talk about some like home decor, party type surfaces that you might want to use your rub-ons too, because if you get this product as a card maker, you probably also do like to do some handmade gifts, or these are, you know, for people who like crafting but don't do card making. I wanted to just highlight some of those surfaces. So this is painted wood, and they came off quite easily on that. So that, and then the plastic, which is, you know, if considering that it works on acetate, it wouldn't be surprising that it worked on like a stiffer plastic, but I did want to point that out as like, you know, and similarly, like you could customize treat bags. And this did take a little bit more work to get on, and I did put it through my die cut machine, and you can use your die cut machine to apply rub-ons if the surface that you're putting them on can already go through the die cut machine. So I obviously cannot, you know, put this like this through my die cut machine because it only picks up flat things, but also I wouldn't put anything breakable through my die cut machine. Like I wouldn't be trying to apply it to, I don't know, I can't even think like what you would like maybe put in there, but you shouldn't, like I guess glass or a mirror or something. Like don't do that. You know, use what can already be used in a die cut machine. Okay, and so, but you can see, and I wanted to show you this because it emphasizes it. This is the outline of the backing sheet, and you can see it traced onto the bag now because it was, you know, high pressure through the die cut machine that applied the rub-on, which was great because it saved me some time. It was a little less finicky, but it leaves that impression behind, and you might not always want that on your finished project. Okay, metal surfaces work great. This customizable tin, taking a 50-cent tin and making it look a lot fancier. And then this is ceramic. Something I did want to point out about using any of these kind of surfaces is that you will want to clean them first. You don't have to, I mean, especially if you're pretty sure they're clean, but a cleaning cloth that you might use for electronics, like a lint-free cloth, can help to get any dust, because if there were a speck of dust and then you put your rub-on down and went ahead and rubbed it onto the surface, it is going to capture that piece of dust underneath. We don't really want it to do that. Another thing is that when you're working on a slick surface like this, if you are afraid of your rub-on moving around while you apply it, which is a very real concern, particularly notice on like a slick or curved surface like this jar, because you can apply them to glass. But when I wanted to apply it around this slightly curved surface, it was important to tape down the rub-on to help hold it in place. And in general, even when I'm working on paper, I make sure that I'm using my hand to hold down the rub-on, because you are pushing and, you know, scraping along, and you could accidentally push the paper out of position. And just like if you were stamping and you moved your fingers or moved your block while you were stamping, it would cause an imperfection in your stamping. And there's some ways to recover from it. So if you like miss a spot, you know, you always go back, but you might be pushing and rubbing at the same time and accidentally apply the rub-on where you don't want it. So I just think that that is worth considering. Now, when you do have a surface like this one you might want to seal, because this you might assume is going to be handled a little bit more. I mean, I put everything on the top of it so that you could open and close it. This is like a little, I think it's like a magnetic closure. I can't quite tell. Oh no, it just like kind of clicks into place. But you know, they probably don't need to touch the top terribly much, and they're certainly not going to do what I did before and go crazy and scrape it. But, you know, something to worth considering, that you could then put a sealer on top. I have generally heard a water-based sealer is good for rub-ons from different manufacturers. Mod Podge can work. I have some of the matte stuff that you can get really like inexpensively. It's a little thicker. This here from Folk Art is a bit thinner. I think they're actually both from Plaid. So that's the same company making it, but they're different kinds of sealer. That's like more made for like paper and that kind of stuff. And so you might have more success. It might be a little bit less noticeable. This also has a satin finish, which mimics the fact that this is kind of a shiny surface. So these are just things to think about. Wanted to point it out if you are, you know, new to rub-ons, or if you're just exploring the idea of using rub-ons on different surfaces. And then I found these. So if you're watching this video when it comes out, or around the time it comes out, I found these at the Target dollar spot. And they're these little trees, and they're kind of like, they have an aesthetic of this like really plain looking simple tree with a little bit of paint at the top. But I thought rub-ons would be a great way to customize these. And so again, this is that rounded surface. So what I'm gonna do is place my painter's tape over it, or you know, use it to tape it down. You could put it all the way over the rub-on. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. I kind of recommend putting it off to the side. I have a delicate surface painter's tape, and that's because I don't want to damage whatever surface I am working on. You are going to want something that's a little bit, like, I have mint tape, even here on my desk. I love mint tape for like die cutting and holding down things when die cutting, but it doesn't always work well on non-paper surfaces because it's very low tack. So you might want something a little bit more tacky, but not enough that it would like pull things up. Painter's tape is a great solution and very easy to find. So here I'm going to use my bone folder. Again, really a lot of tools will do the job as long as they have a flat surface to put pressure on. I've heard people talk about even using your nails to scrape little details on. I could see that certainly. I wouldn't apply a large die cut that way. Okay, and then as you can see, then I have that, and I can put a bunch of them all over the tree and create a very like custom look. The surface I wanted to show you was you can apply them to mirrors. And of course you're gonna see my like filming equipment and desk reflected in that mirror, but that's another one you want to be sure is very clean. So let's review all the surfaces that I have tested out and I think that you could apply rub-ons to, and then we'll talk a little bit about some surfaces that we maybe shouldn't use rub-ons on. Again, I am not the manufacturer. You should read whatever directions your manufacturer provides to you about any product that you are using. So we can use rub-ons on paper, cardstock, foil or shiny paper, smooth glitter paper, acetate, vellum, wood, metal, glass, plastic, painted surfaces. So even though I painted the wood, it still worked. Mirrors, which I'm not going to show you again because it's distracting. Ceramic. And then poly or cellophane bags. One last bonus idea. This is from Nicole Design. She pointed out that you could put them on your fake nails. I would probably clean the surface and the nail first, and then I would put a top coat over, just like you'd put a sealer onto some of the projects. I would put a coat of clear nail polish on top of any rub-ons if I wanted them to stay on my nails. I thought that was a fun idea, and I will link you to her video because she had some fun specific project ideas for rub-ons in her video. I would not put rub-ons on. Anything involving food or heat, because I have seen them, like I wouldn't put them on a coffee cup. I would go to vinyl for that because it would be really difficult to clean. Anything that's to be handled more, maybe use vinyl. Like these two projects, you could easily see doing that in vinyl because you could just cut the black letters. However, the advantage to me of rub-ons is like you're never going to be doing like this with vinyl because of all the like detail and layer and colors. So, but I don't think it is suitable for, like you're not gonna be able to put rub-ons on t-shirts the way you could vinyl, or, heat transfer vinyl, or like I said, coffee mugs. I wouldn't put it on anything involving food or heat, like a candle or something like that, like putting on the outside of a candle, just because I don't know, and I don't wanna, if I'm giving that as a gift, I want it to be a problem. I would probably just put some like wrapped candies in this jar or something like that, and also they wouldn't be coming into contact with the rub-on. The last thing I want to do is talk about how I store my rub-ons, just for anyone who might find that helpful or was curious. So they come in packages like this that are sealed at the top, and then at the bottom they have like that sticky flap that you can peel away. I don't like having to peel that repeatedly. I find it gets messy, it comes off, etc. So I usually just cut the top off, and then the stick can go back inside with all the little pieces. And when you do have a piece where like this butterfly, in order to get to the piece that I wanted, I had to cut this butterfly off. So I want to make sure it goes back in the storage with all of the rest of them. But I need it to stay with its wax like sheet backer thing here. And so I usually just tape them together. See, there's that same butterfly. And then I can just tuck that into the bag. You could tape it on both sides. You can do this with larger pieces too. Like, you know, this will probably stay together. There's enough rub-on left. But if I wanted to be sure that I wouldn't lose my backer sheet, you can always just put a piece of like Scotch tape across it and then slip them back into the bag. Now, I transferred mine over to stamp pockets because I had some of the ones from scrapbook.com, because I really like them, I have multiples. And so that way I could store several of like packs of the same rub-ons together, because this bag is a little bit thicker. Also, I found that these were tending to rip. And especially because like you're putting these rub-ons in it, it's kind of sharp, and so like it catches on things, or when it's not a full sheet, part of it catches. I don't know. I just found these to be a little bit nicer, but I, you know, generally would suggest just chopping the top off. I also just, because I have a lot of them, I don't need to store a popsicle stick in the back of each one. You absolutely can, but it is going to take up more room in your storage in my mind. You know, like I can just kind of gather these and they're all flat. But if there was the extraness of a popsicle stick in every single one, you can imagine that would add up. So I just took a couple of the popsicle sticks and I put them in with like my pencils and that kind of thing, so I could grab one if I needed it. But as I mentioned before, you can totally use like a bone folder or a craft scraper or something like that to apply them as well. So you could, you know, save these for a different project or toss them and you'll probably be fine. You'll find something else to apply your rub-ons with. I hope this video has given you lots of ideas to make use of the rub-ons in your stash and you have fun applying them to a variety of surfaces. Try something new in your paper crafting or gift giving. If you found this video helpful, here's another video where you can find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. Let me know you like this video with a share to your crafty community. Subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next template or tutorial, and check the video description for product links. See you in the next video.